Hello there again. Welcome to the fourth episode of the UHY Cast. Today I'm delighted to be joined by financial advisory heavyweight John Stevenson, founder of Pareto Financial Planning. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, thank you.
So, obviously, we've known each other a while now, John. UHY and Pareto working very closely as businesses. Firstly, thanks for agreeing to come on. I appreciate it's a Friday afternoon, it's raining, so you're not sat in Oldley Edge at the wine bar like you normally may be. So we are very, very privileged to have you with us today. Your table booking will still be held out for you later. So, just to kick things off, John, I think before we talk about your most recent experience and success, obviously with Pareto, which has been unbelievable, can we just perhaps go back to your early days before you even perhaps thought about career, just a little bit around your childhood, your upbringing through school into university, and just for our listeners, just to give them a little bit of a feel for where you came from before some of the success you've had in more recent times.
Okay, I'm a Northwest boy, born Stockport, kind of Derbyshire borders, New Mills, Disley, that area, grew up there. Family over in Glossop Way, so I've always been around this area in terms of family. Went to school in Buxton, again Derbyshire Way, and then left there to go to university at Brunel University down in London from 1819. Still got roots here, still got a lot of family here, and that's kind of my background. My father worked in the chemical industry, tried to buy me, I think it was a Lacoste t-shirt when I was 16 to not do my A-levels and join him, but it just wasn't my bag. It wasn't an industry I was interested in, even though I actually did it for A-level. It was certainly not after A-level, but it wasn't something which kind of grasped me, so I wanted to go on an education run until I found something which kind of I wanted to do.
Brilliant. And what did you study when you were at university?
Business and finance. So very much then it was a different funding structure than it is today, where obviously I've got 4 daughters now, 3 of them are at university, one's at sixth form. It's very much, you go to university now because it costs a lot of money to do a specific subject in my eyes, and come out of that and follow a career path on that. Bit different in my day because we used to get grants and we used to get subsidised university fees, etc. You could put yourself through university if your parents couldn't afford to do it. So I chose a general degree, business and finance, to give me an idea of marketing, law, operational management, etc. So it's very useful, actually.
It gave you really good footing.
Yeah, it did. It gave me, the area law, a bit of accountancy, etc. So it gave me a real grasp of all areas. So it was a general degree, which I don't kind of believe in now, but it really helped me.
Brilliant. Well, I did the same. Got a 2-1, which apparently means you enjoyed university and learnt a little along the way.
If you get a first, you had a boring university time. Yeah. Don't tell my kids. But
absolutely, yeah. So after university, where did that lead you to your first job?
So I left university to earn a bit of money at university. I did a bit of football coaching, junior schools. I was an FA licensed coach back in the day, and so I went to America to work for North American soccer camps for 9 months after university. Great money, different camp each week. I was 21 years old. It was a good time. So I did 9 months there. Came back home. My dad woke me up the first day I came back and said, right, you're out the house at 8 o'clock, you're home at 6 o'clock. I said, well, I haven't got a job. He went, yeah, you go and find one, get out there. So it was a lot of the time spent in universities, writing CVs, writing job applications. And I wanted to go into sales. That's where, so kind of picked up a magazine called The Grocer, and applied for numerous jobs in fast consumer goods or something. I think it was a term for it. And then got into that, and then found myself working for a finance business. And in those days, the qualifications to kind of give advice on protection and areas like that was a lot easier than it was back then. And started to work for this finance company, giving people protection advice, selling protection, life insurance products alongside loans, etc. And then my financial career started moving on from that. But that was my first kind of job.
So was that sales knocking on doors saying, would you like some life?
No, it was like there was people doing telesales in Stockport, a guy doing telesales and selling loans. And I used to call them up after, say, you're just taking this loan out, there's a bit of what ifs, and what happens if something happens to you, the loan could be cleared off, do you want to, selling protection, etc. on that. Then then they got an agency with Standard Life, and so the kind of the product mix widened. I've got a bit of training with Standard Life on that, and kind of became more rounded. And then I took a job then on a self-employed basis with an estate agency. They used to do mortgages for estate agents, and they needed somebody to go and visit the people who'd done a mortgage a year after to do a full financial review. So I went on a self-employed basis, but no wife, no 4 kids, no mortgage, so no risk.
Yeah.
And going to see all these different clients and advise on that. Being just tied with one company, selling one company's product, I realised straight away, no, you need to be independent, you need to look around. And the company at the time, they said, no, we get great commissions from Standard Life. And I said, well, it's not what it's all about. It's about giving the proper advice. And then I said, I'm going to set up on my own as an independent financial advisor. And then it was like, well, how am I going to find any business? So I did go a bit of door knocking, estate agents, lawyers, accountants in the local area to say, can you refer any clients for me for financial services? And one of those knocks on the door was Ford Campbell Accountants in Stockport.
Yeah, I remember
and
them well.
Mr. Ford, the infamous Mr. Ford from the Manchester business community, had just fallen out, weirdly enough, with his incumbent IFA, and needed somebody very, very quickly to sort out his existing work, etc. So it was an opportune moment. I started to work within an accounting practice then, heading up their financial services department, which was just me at the time. But we grew that. We branded that Carwood. We had a separate company because of the regulation. The first day was quite interesting. I went for the second interview, and he said, yeah, you've got the job. Can you start straight away? Go downstairs. There's loads of posts to be unopened. And here's a car keys. You can take a car. And I said, well, what about salary? And, well, I'll give you 25,000, which at the time was fantastic. This is the early 90s. And he said, I'll give you 38% of the company. It was very off. Typical Mr. Ford. And then I went into the car park, pressed the button of this. There was a 316 BMW. So it was a bit of a step up from my Fiat Uno at the time.
Yeah.
And it went on from there. And it really worked well within that accountants because I felt part of the firm. They referred business into me. The reason for that is because I kind of tried to get them business. It was like very much a collaboration.
Yeah.
If I didn't know on an advice piece, I wouldn't guess. I would research it. I would speak to people in the industry who had been knocking on my door trying to get me to introduce pensions to Standard Life or some other business, asking them technical questions, bouncing off. There was no internet then, feeling very old. But so it was all that, and it really worked well, and it grew and grew. I recruited various people on the way.
Brilliant. Well, that's it just shows, doesn't it? Just opening the doors. It's not what you know, it's who you know sometimes, isn't it? And it's interesting just reflecting on some of the conversations I've had over the last few podcasts just with these entrepreneurs who've been extremely successful, and so many of them seem to have a founding in sales. And when you actually roll back exactly where they've come from, a lot have come from sales, and perhaps that tenacity, that energy, that drive.
Yes,
and I guess that perhaps slightly more risk approach to say, do you know what, I'll give it a shot. What's the worst case that happens? I go and get another job from somewhere. Yeah,
and I think, when you're younger, there's different pressures. So you've got that kind of free spirit in the way and the drive. You pick things up. A lot of entrepreneurs are self-driven, but you do pick things up from certain people along the way. And somebody once told me, if each day you make an appointment, you do a bit of admin work, and you make a sale, you're going to have a successful career. And I kind of push that down to our advisors. You've got to sit back, put your head on the pillow at night, and think, what have I done today? What have I protected business? Have I created new business? Have I got a new deal? And it's having achievements along the way.
Yeah.
And driving that down to a day.
And are you finding? And I guess we'll come on to the we'll kind of come on to the latter parts of what you've been up to after Carwood. But Are you finding the compliance and regulation that is now kind of red tape around what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say? Is it taking some of the fun out of it?
Well, my attitude is, if you're concerned about working in a regulated environment, you do not work as a financial advisor, because they come hand in hand,
Yeah.
and there's reasons for that to protect the consumer. So it might not be the answer you might think, because a lot of people think, well, you're a driven salesman, you don't want somebody holding the sales prevention office, the compliance departments have been called, etc. But no, I'm a bit different. I'm a bit kind of like, it helps us because it gets rid of the competition who don't embrace it. I mean, we've had an ex-FCA director who was 10 years at the FCA as a non-executive director in Pareto for 3 years.
Brilliant.
A guy called Rory Percival, who's retired now. And his first comment to me is, I'm going to be very, very putting pressure on you. I'm going to be very challenging as a board member. I'm not here from a non-exec fee. This is, and it was fantastic. It was fantastic. It gives, because as a sales guy, yeah, I am driven on the commercial, on the blue sky, and sometimes you need to understand the regulation and where the FCA is coming, because that's strategically you have to.
Yeah. No.
So no, it's. That's our industry.
Yeah, no, get it.
And it is the biggest concern of a lot of regulated businesses, the regulator. But if you embrace it, it doesn't become a problem.
Yeah, it becomes an opportunity.
Yeah,
to some
of
extent.
course it does.
Yeah. So just going back to the kind of the final days of Carwood then, so that was eventually sold out to Lighthouse Group PLC.
What we did there briefly, so I worked with an accounting practice, and then when I used to go to these accountancy conventions around the UK of other accounting practices, all very exciting. I spoke to all the firms and they were like, oh no, it doesn't really work for us. We give a little bit to a client and we do a little bit here, a little bit there. And they weren't generating any revenue from it. And I realised that, well, actually, if you have an in-house advisor that you help recruit and you say yes or no to them, and somebody drives that business, getting the right individual, the relationship with clients and accountants is the strongest business relationship there is. It used to be years ago the bank manager, but I don't remember any of my bank manager's name. But I know my accountants, I know my tax advisor's name, and that's what a lot of. So then we rolled it out, and we became the largest financial advisor within the accounting market. We had firms like McIntyre Hudson in London, firms over in Northern Ireland and all round. So we drove it all the way through in another accountant and made some acquisitions along the way.
Right, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
So that era finished.
Yep. So we sold that.
Yep. And what happened between that kind of 2005, 2008? Was that restrictions and you always had ambitions to set up Pareto, or what was going on in the background?
We'd done some acquisitions, and we had done a lot of those on a debt basis. And so we had a balance sheet with a bit of debt in it. We made some acquisitions. Some we'd done well, a lot we hadn't done well. We thought we could turn them around from loss-making acquisitions into profit ones. It always takes longer than the business plan. And I owned, as I said, around about 38% of it. And so to clean the balance sheet up, we had to do a transaction. And the guy who was kind of working with me at the time said, I said, we need to buy something, raise some money, raise some equity and reduce the balance sheet. And he said, well, why don't you sell the business? I said, well, it's my baby. I don't want to sell this. And he said, well, it's not really, is it? You own 38% of it. There's other shareholders here. You've got the bank who are interested on that. Why don't you sell to somebody and take it to the next level? So when we sold to the Lighthouse Group, they were we've always employed our advisors. We had over 45 advisors. We probably had about 60, 70 accounting relationships. And it was very much, they were listed. We're going to use they could get capital, their availability of capital to invest in us to take it to the next level, which didn't work out, didn't happen that. So when I sold that business, it wasn't like, yeah, pocket the cash, carry on. It was, this is the stage 2. We're going to take this brand, it could have become Lighthouse Car to the next level. And so when I signed that deal, it was to sit on their PLC board, influence and grow the business. It wasn't just to kick out my 3-year non-compete. I had to be there for 3 years, but that's what it turned out.
Right, okay.
they were very much a different business model. They didn't see any blue sky. They very much saw operational cost, which they wanted to reduce. They wanted to push our advisors into a more self-employed, commission-only basis, which I don't want for culture reasons. I wanted to employ my guys and ladies. So we didn't make any acquisitions. So it was just, they've just bought it for the sake of it. And I thought, well, and it got to a point where I'd be working in London 3 days a week, which sounds great, but with a family at home, it got to a point where I didn't really enjoy it. I wasn't bouncing out of bed in the morning. They were very good people, and I get on with them now. The old chairman's a friend of mine, and the chief exec was a great guy, nice people, nice board. But I didn't bounce out of bed in the morning. And my wife could not believe I was leaving and setting up Pareto in 2008, right in the middle of a financial crisis, from a company where they paid me a great salary, good bonus structure, made me go on holiday, because I wasn't big into holidays. And she said, you're going to risk all that, set up Pareto in the middle of a financial crisis. And I said, I think there's an opportunity. But the main thing was, I just wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah.
There was no growth.
No, I think it's a massively important thing, isn't it? You spend, 80% of your life at work or something crazy.
Yeah, I think that's a great comment you made, because I do a little bit of work with some schools in Manchester about careers opportunities in GCSE year, and saying this is what a financial advisor does. Because I'm trying to attract younger people in our sector.
Yeah.
And my opening line is exactly what you've just said. 80% of your life is going to be work. You have to enjoy it. If you can, you've got to do that, because it's 80% of your life. You know, and when those other 20%, you're probably still thinking about it.
Or asleep.
Yeah.
Or both.
Or both, dreaming.
So Pareto starts in 2008. As you say, a slightly unusual time to start a business like that. But I guess when there's financial crisis, there's opportunity. People are looking at what they do with their money, where to put it, or actually realising that they don't have any advice at that time, I guess.
Yeah.
So how were those first few years?
Well, the first year I was barred out. I couldn't deal with any existing accountancy practices. And to be honest, the challenge in me was I'm not going to go back to the old accountants who we dealt with then. I was going to go some new ones, and people like UHY, yourself, fantastic practice. But it was like, but I couldn't do anything for a year. But in times of crisis, some financial advisors hide under the desk, right? And that's what was happening in 2008. People were queuing up outside the banks trying to get money out, etc. It's not that long ago. It's still fresh in people's memories. So we were picking up people who said, look, I can't get hold of my financial advisor. I don't know what's going on. I've done this structure. Is it the right thing? I can't get any sense out of him. You know, a lot of the big financial advisors, not the smaller practices, the larger national practices. So we picked up a load of contacts, a load of clients. And, you know, in terms of crisis, that's when the financial advisor earns his fees, in my opinion. Yeah. And so we turned a crisis into an opportunity. And also there was people getting rid of good quality staff, etc. We picked them up. We started to grow Pareto at that time.
Brilliant. And fast forwarding today, you're now a Financial Times top 50 business. You've got over £1 billion of funds under management. I think you've got 40, 50 staff.
Yeah, a bit more, yeah.
What a success it's been, I guess.
Yeah.
How have you got it to that? And I guess where's it go next?
I think the key is whether we've not done acquisitions as such, we've gone into a relationship who've already have clients who need financial advice, again, such as yourself, but we've never done any acquisitions. Have I been scarred by previous cold acquisitions? I may have been. But organic growth and starting from a clean piece of paper is a lot easier in terms of IT setup, tech setup. We've got a great team, everyone will say that, but it really is that you employ people who are better than you. I've got a very strong management and strong board. But the key is source of business, and our alignment working with accountancy practices who refer clients to us gives us a great source of business. And we're always focused, as I always say to the staff, we had our 15th anniversary last week, and I said to them, look, we have a big front door. We want new clients all the time. We want you working in with the accountants, attracting new clients for them and for ourselves. But we don't want a back door. We have got to have a service proposition which doesn't let any client leave us over service. And service is the key. So those are the rationale for it. It's getting new business, making sure people are driven to that and rewarded on that, but making sure behind it there's nobody sneaking out the back door and leaving it. A lot of financial advice business, again the larger ones, tend to just farm their existing clients and don't take any new clients, and it just moves around. I don't want to be involved in it. I like a growing business.
Yeah, and I guess that diversity of clients brings new products, new services.
Yeah,
it keeps you fresh, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does keep us fresh. Look, I really enjoy meeting people who have set up businesses and run their own businesses. And when you're getting work from accountants practice, that's what you're going to see, owner-managed businesses. Yeah. Everyone's got a story. It's a great story. I love it. Yeah. And I say to the advisors, isn't it great to see new clients? But also go on a journey with your existing clients over a long period. So 75 staff, 25 advisors within the business, all employed. We have set up 2 years ago Lunar Investment Management, which is our discretionary fund management arm. We set that up again on the back of a crisis, March 20, COVID. We kind of set that business up then. We got joined by a very experienced team, 150 years experience between them, running discretionary management for us, and that's up to 700 million now.
Wow.
And probably about 60% of it's Pareto clients. We get a lot of direct clients through that. So again, why has that grown? Good brand, good service levels, but a really good team.
Yeah,
really,
people,
really,
isn't it?
It's people.
Yeah, we see that in our business every day.
It's
all about the people. And I suppose just to caveat this, no one listening to this should take this as investment advice or necessarily follow what John says here. But with the brains we've got and the knowledge you've got from your team, just touch on what you think is going on with kind of interest rates, economic pressures, and what you think maybe the medium term looks like.
Well, 2022 for the whole of the investment market, the wealth management market, was a tough year in terms of client investments, etc. And it's very easy for everyone to blame Ukraine and Russia situation, which is awful, on this. And yeah, it is a factor, but the main factor is that it was the rising inflation, and that was happening the conflict. So the rise of interest rates has been the biggest rise ever seen. They started from 0.1%, but there's a big strong on there ever seen. Inflation's coming down in the US. If you look at 1 year fixed rate bank returns, you're getting about 5%. You could get 5% in the next 12 months. Over that, it should be more, but it's not. It's about 3.5, 3.6. So our thoughts internally are that interest rates will start to come back down back end of this year. I think it might be needed in America slightly sooner, because what they don't want to do is control inflation but push somebody into a recession.
Yeah.
And these interest rises, it takes a time for them to bite. I think they're biting now.
Yeah.
And I think back end of this year they will start to reduce as the inflation comes down. But again, inflation, is it true inflation? There's a lot of pressure in the press recently, if you've read about forecourt petrol courts, you push your prices down. Supermarkets, reduce your food costs. You're not passing on the savings now. So it's hopefully on its way down, and then the market doesn't like uncertainty. Then we get a bit more certainty about lowering interest rates, etc. So good news to come.
Indeed. And I think everybody just gets used to these lower rates, don't they, and just assume that's the norm. And then when it goes back to, I have my parents talking about 15% interest rates, and you couldn't even envisage that. Never mind 4.5% or whatever we're at today.
No, I think the days of 0.1 are not around. And remember, 0.1 was brought on the back of COVID.
Yeah.
I think you're looking at round about circa 2.5%, 3%. That's where we're going to sit at. I believe you've got to give people return on cash.
Yeah.
Which they're getting now, and you've also, there's a cost of borrowing because the risk of borrowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But 5 year fixed mortgages at 1%, it's not reality, is it?
No, absolutely. And just finally on that vein, what's your view on the whole crypto world? Because obviously that is the new unknown, isn't it, to some extent? Everybody's talking about it. People are making a lot of money out of it, probably losing a lot of money out of it. Well, I don't profess to understand it, but
I'm a highly qualified financial advisor, heavyweight, you said. And my views on crypto is I don't completely understand it. So my views are, understand it as in warts and all. So my views, if I don't really understand it, you don't really get involved in it. the big thing for me, so am I anti-crypto? Yeah. And there might be a lack of knowledge. But the biggest thing for me is it's not regulated.
Yeah.
There's no regulation. There was discussions, I think there was some press this morning about regulation's going to come. Once it gets regulated, you've got consumer protection. Because it's not just the crypto itself, it's the platforms which are holding it. There was a big case in America where if that platform had been a platform holding investment management, it would be regulated in the UK and the US. It obviously wasn't regulated because they didn't know what the guy was doing.
No.
So, but it created a problem for people holding crypto because it was a platform. So regulation is key in that sector.
Yeah.
And I think once that gets regulated, you got some consumer protection, and hopefully it will sort out you get rid of the fraud, etc. within it.
And then it becomes an opportunity to consider.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, fantastic what you've done at Pareto. It's amazing, and Luna and what have you, and hopefully it continues to be as successful. So, and we need that for our clients. So keep pushing that, please. Just finally, just want to touch on some of your charity work, and obviously you were recognised in I think 2021 with an MBE, which is amazing. Congratulations. It pains me to say it that you're the chair of the Foundation for Stockport County. As a Man United and Macclesfield fan, Stockport's somewhere in the middle. That I don't particularly
local football. Though.
Indeed. So, just share some of the charity work and what you get from that, and how that's kind of added to your life.
Yeah, I mean, I lost my mum when I was 4 years old, and it's not. I still choke up about it now because it wasn't discussed in my family. And I went to a golf event at Hazel Grove Golf Club, and Beechwood Cancer Care gave a little presentation about what support they offer families who have gone through a bereavement or a parent or child have got a serious illness. And it was the counselling they offer, this free support, and it kind of helps keeps families together during a life event like that or death. And I thought, if I'd have had that, my family would be a little bit different.
Yeah.
And it's not as wasn't very straightforward growing up. And even now, family's kind of broken, my family. So I thought if I had that, it would have helped me. And I said, how much is a counsellor? And the lady said, it's 30 grand a year. And I said, I'll raise you 30 grand a year. I didn't know how I was going to do it. And then I thought, well, I know enough people in Manchester. Everyone likes a Friday afternoon off. Everyone likes a bit of comedy. So I created Man at Manchester. And we had it on the last Friday of November, Black Friday at the time. And we run that for Beechwood. And we get comedians. We've had John Bishop. We've had Justin Morehouse, who's a fantastic supporter for me. Jason Manford doing the performance. And then we raise money. And every prize is donated. Everything we do there is donated. And it's just gone a bit mental, and we run it every year, and we've raised nearly £2 million like that. And last year, I think it was 175,000 we raised
in one day.
In one day, one afternoon. But also, everyone has a good time.
Yeah.
And the hardest one was sell it was the first one, and now everyone's experienced it. It does really well. So we have 550 people in the room. It's not all men. It's it's mixed tables. It's fantastic. And with loads of entertainment, we've had Dynamo there. And all these people, I mither them through the year to do it for nothing. I think I swam next to Dynamo in a hotel pool for about 4 days before speaking to him and asking him to... He said if I sent him a taxi to Bradford and come down, he'll do a show for us, and he did. So it's that. So I'm very much that if people pay £10 during that day, that goes to charity. So I've then become chair of that charity now, and we've grown really well, and we treat a load of families, and with some really positive impacts on families in Stockport area, and all our services are free, and it's paid a lot by people who managed to donate to that event.
Amazing.
So then on from that, I get involved in the Christie a bit, and I'm thinking, well, the Beechwood was close to me because it was a family situation, but I think you should support local charities. And I think what I've got is business contacts, owner-managed businesses, entrepreneurs, people who've sold their businesses. And I kind of facilitate them giving money to charity, which works really well. And we do stuff for the Christie, which I think we've got on our doorstep a world-renowned cancer centre. So we do a bit for them. And Stockport County, a good friend of mine who I grew up with Mark Stott for his wisdom, not advised by me, but bought Stockport County because he had a dream of kind of helping Stockport, giving something back to the Stockport community. Asked me to get involved, and I said I'd get involved with the community trust. So we set the community trust up, coming up to 3 years ago, where we raise money, do various activities and give it back to the local community to kind of help children have opportunities, to football coaching, to feed the kids in half term. And we also have a wellbeing program where there's a lot of issues post-COVID to come into the ground during the week, and clubs get together, and it's all for people in Stockport, areas in Stockport. And there's areas in Stockport, for example, somebody said to me, a man in Bramhall will die 10 years younger in Bridlington. And that shouldn't be the case. No. So we need to start looking at areas. There's a real diverse in Stockport, massive. So it's about looking at those areas we can help with the community trust in Stockport. And that was Mark's vision. He wanted to, I've not bought this club to take them to the Premier League. Well, hopefully they will, but I doubt it. But he's done it to kind of make an impact in Stockport with the people. So kind of I'm helping deliver that by chairing the community trust on that. So yeah,
commendable and amazing.
But I'm a City fan as well. So
right, okay.
I'm a bit
we won't get there either.
Yeah.
Okay, so really, really interesting.
Thank you.
I always finish up with my 3 questions, my infamous 3. So firstly, when you were a child, what was your dream? What did you want to be when you were older?
It's very boring, but it's a footballer, yeah. And I think as far as I got was Stalybridge Celtic. I sat on the bench for a year and never played a game.
Oh, well.
At least I was there.
Yeah, indeed. Nothing wrong with Staley Vegas.
No.
If there was one thing in your career that you could change, what would it be and why?
I think it was Carwood. I think Carwood, if Carwood could still be around now and growing and be, really grow, because we had a good base there. I didn't really understand I understood the blue sky and the vision and the growth. I didn't really have my focus on the numbers and what the debt and the cash flow and areas such as that, the risk of acquisition, the need to make quick decisions on a loss-making business to turn it around quicker, rather than thinking it'll change because things will get better because I'm Mr. Positive. So so selling Carwood, really, I don't regret it now because we're in a good position now, and it was a great education for me. But I wish I'd have done things a few bit different. But I was, 18 years younger, so I didn't have the experience I've got now.
No, absolutely. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And last but not least, it's next Friday. You're hosting a dinner party rather than being sat here. You've got 4 seats at the table. You're obviously one of them. Which any 3 guests from any era would you invite to that party?
I was thinking, well, let's keep it on the football basis. We talked about Stockport, etc. I would go for Pep Guardiola. Even though his restaurant's just over there in Manchester, we'll probably host it at Pep's. I would actually get Alex Ferguson there as well. And I would also get Brian Clough there as well. So 3 managers, massive personalities, very individual. They might be very cordial with each other at the start, but I think as Fergie's red wine flows, we might get some good, strong conversations. But made a massive impact in the game. I remember when I was younger, Brian Clough on the TV, and it was amazing. And these 2, so 3 big characters. Yeah. I'll be there to just hold them all back from each other.
Pick up the wine bill at the end.
Yeah, but great man managers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great man manager, and I think that's what they've got in common. They all do it very different. Maybe Fergie with his hairdryer and Pep with an arm round, and Brian Clough saying, "Well, I'm not really interested in what you say. This is how we do it." Yeah. But they all successfully manage teams from different backgrounds.
Yeah, I like that. I'd happily sit on the table next door in Earwig.
Good man.
So, well, thank you very much for taking the time out, John. It's thoroughly enjoyable. Hopefully everybody who's listened in will enjoy it too. So, really appreciate you coming on.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for everybody who's listening. Please click subscribe if you have liked what you've heard today and you're not already subscribed to our channel. We'll be back in a month's time with another exciting guest on the show, and thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.